Good afternoon, friends. I trust that we are all okay this afternoon. We thank God once again for His grace and His mercy. We thank Him for the gift of life. Today we are doing the last part of Genesis chapter 26. Last week we finished on verse 17. Today we will continue from verse 17 going forward. Before I read verse 18 going forward, I would like to say something that I missed out last week. When Isaac had become very rich, the king and the people felt threatened. And they said to him, "You have become too powerful. You have to move from us and live elsewhere." And Isaac did not resist. He left the place. And just a comment on that, when you have a relationship with God, when you do God's commandments, when God is happy about you, He makes you a powerful person. We see an example in Abraham, an example in Isaac now. Because he had that relationship with God which was strong, God blessed him. He became powerful, he became rich, he had influence. So each one of us will have influence if we have a relationship with God. I would encourage you and encourage myself to have a relationship with God, a relationship that works, a relationship that is strong. God will make us powerful. God will help us to have influence. And if we have God's influence, then it's a good influence because it will influence people to do good. We will continue with verse 18, which says, Isaac reopened the wells that had been dug in the time of his father Abraham, which the Philistines had stopped up after Abraham died, and he gave them the same names his father had given them. Isaac's servants dug in the valley and discovered a well of fresh water there. But the herders of Gerar quarreled with those of Isaac and said, "The water is ours." So he named the well Esek, because they disputed with him. Verse 21, then they dug another well, but they quarreled over that one also, and he named it Sitna. Verse 22, he moved on from there and dug another well, and no one quarreled over it. He named it Rehoboth, saying, "Now the Lord has given us room, and we will flourish in the land." Verse 23, from there he went up to Beersheba. That night the Lord appeared to him and said, "I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bless you and will increase the number of your descendants for the sake of my servant Abraham." Isaac built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord. There he pitched his tent, and there his servants dug a well. Meanwhile, Abimelek had come to him from Gerar with Ahuzzath, his personal advisor, and Phicol, the commander of his forces. Isaac asked them, "Why have you come to me since you were hostile to me and sent me away?" They answered, "We saw clearly that the Lord was with you, so we said, there ought to be a sworn agreement between us and you, let us make a treaty with you that you will do us no harm, just as we did not harm you, but had always treated you well and sent you away peacefully. Verse peacefully, and now you are blessed by the Lord. Verse 30. Isaac then made a feast for them, and they ate and drank. Early the next morning, the men swore an oath to each other. Then Isaac sent them away on their way, and they went away peacefully. That day Isaac's servants came and told him about the well they had dug. They said, "We found water." He called it Sheba, and to this day the name of the town has been Beersheba. And that's verse 32. At verse 33, and verse 34 says, when Esau was 40 years old, he married Judith, daughter of Beri the Hittite, and also Basemath, daughter of Elon the Hittite. They were a source of grief to Isaac and Rebekah. So this is the last part of Genesis chapter 26. So we pick up the story when Isaac is in this new place that he had decided to settle in. The first thing that happens when he gets there is that they dig wells, which suggests to us that they had a lot of animals. They had to make sure that those animals had water to drink. So they made sure that they dug wells. And also those wells were for them also because they needed water to drink and to do many other things, as we know that water is useful in our everyday lives. So they started by digging wells when they got there. They dug the first one, and when they did, the herders in that place quarreled with them, and they said that water was theirs. So Isaac's herders or servants went to a separate place and dug another well. And those herders again quarreled with them. And then they moved to another place. These people were very patient with those herders because they never fought them. They just moved to another place. They were peaceful people. And we know that Abraham had so much influence in his son's life. What influence do we have to our families, to our children, to those that are around us? But we see the influence of Abraham in Isaac, his son. He was a man of peace. He was a man who respected other people. And even when they were wrong, he did not quarrel with them. He simply moved to another place. And they moved to another place where they dug another well. And this one was the third one. They didn't have any problems. They didn't quarrel with anybody here. And Isaac called that place or that well Rehoboth, saying that now the Lord has given us room and will flourish in this land. So he said, now we have peace. No one is quarreling with us. So God will make us flourish in this place. And when we continue, the Lord appears to Isaac in Beersheba. And he says to him, I am your God. The same words that he said to Abraham, I am your God, so you are my child. God says, I'm your God. Or he says, I'm the God of your father Abraham. Don't be afraid of anything, because I am with you. What comforting words. What comforting words for Isaac. God gives him comforting words. He says, don't be afraid of anything. I will be with you. I am the God of your father Abraham. So don't be afraid. I am with you. I will bless you. All of us would love to hear those words from God. And we know that when they are said by God, they are true. And those blessings will surely come. So he says to Isaac, I will bless you and I will increase the number of your descendants for the sake of my servant Abraham. Abraham had done a good job. Abraham had walked well with God. And God still talks about him when he has died. And can God say the same thing about you and me when we are dead, and say that my child lived a life of faith? My child was faithful in small things. Can he tell other people about our lives here on earth? Abraham was a special person, but he was a man just like you and me. So that means we should learn from Abraham what we have to do in order to earn that respect from God. So it's a relationship that we have to have. The relationship that Abraham had with God was a special relationship, a strong relationship that had influence not only to his immediate family, but also to even the kings, because this king knew about Abraham and his faithfulness. And Isaac, because he also followed in his father's footsteps, so he gets respect even from this very king. And when we continue, it says that Isaac built an altar in that place where the Lord appeared. He pitched a tent, and there his servants dug a well in that place. So Isaac builds an altar and called on the name of the Lord. He thanked God. He worshipped God for the things that he had done for him and his family. And verse 26, the king comes with his personal advisor and his commander. And when he comes, Isaac was a bit grieved. He did not accept them in the nicest of ways. He says to them, why do you come after me? What are you doing here? Because you kicked me out of the place. You were hostile to me. And they say to him, we saw clearly that the Lord was with you. So he became too powerful for them. He became too influential to them. Because God was blessing him, they became scared of living with Isaac. So they asked him to leave. And so they come here and they say to him, we have to make a treaty. As you know that we did not harm you, we lived with you peacefully. We asked you to live in peace. So we've come to you so that we can have this treaty, so that you can promise that you're not going to harm us. We'll live in this place peacefully with you. Because they say, and now you are blessed by the Lord. Even the king could see that there was something special about Isaac and his family. God was blessing them. So verse 30, Isaac then made a feast for them, and they ate and drank. Early in the morning, the men saw an oath to each other. Then Isaac sent them away, and they went away peacefully. So after that, Isaac prepares a feast for them, and they eat and drink. And in the morning, they make that treaty, and then he sent them away peacefully. So they had made that treat. And Isaac's servants came and told him that they had dug. Isaac's servants came and told him about the well that they dug. The servants went to dig another well, and they found water. And so they were so happy. Then Isaac called that place Sheba. To this day, the name of the town has been Beersheba. And as we conclude, Esau, one of Isaac's children, gets married to a Hittite. And what we are told is that they were a source of grief for Isaac and Rebekah. That means they were not the woman that Esau married wasn't a good woman, because he gave Isaac and Rebekah grief. So, when we are getting married, let's be sure who we are getting married to. Let's not get married to people that will cause grief to our parents, because that will automatically bring that hostility between you as a child and your parents. So we don't want to have things like that. So my encouragement is that when we are thinking of getting married, let's ask God to give us the right people, so that we will not have a situation that we had here. I trust that we have learned a lot from this chapter, and I trust that we will do things better, in future. And I thank you once again for listening, and I trust that you will continue listening to these short videos, so that I can learn, so that we can all learn the way or the will of the Lord. May God bless you abundantly, and I will be recording more videos, and the next one will be on Genesis chapter 27. May God bless you abundantly.